Bid Nerds is your daily YouTube car game show where we predict the online auction results of the most interesting cars on Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, Hagerty Marketplace, and more. It's just like the Price is Right game show. Play along and see if you can beat the nerds. Oh, snap. You know what that drum breakdown means? Means it's a brand new Bid Nerds episode. We are live here in the Container Park in downtown Las Vegas at Rami Studio. I'm here with Switcher Gary behind the big board and my partner Michael Deeb in San Francisco. Look at him in the fisting room. How you doing, Michael Deeb? What's up?
You know, just another night in the dungeon down here.
Yeah, buddy.
It's super freezing cold. It's like 40 degrees out there in Vegas.
62.
It's like, yeah, in the 60s or something like that. I don't know. It's kind of cold at night or whatever. I froze my butt off up in Seattle this weekend. That is for sure. But I had a great time up there. Shout out to all my friends in the Pacific Northwest region of the PCA who invited me up to moderate a conversation with our good friend Patrick Long. That went spectacularly well, actually. It was very fun.
Are we still friends?
We're still friends. Like, I think we might be buddies. I don't know. No, I mean,
were you friends before?
He didn't hit me with anything heavy over the head. There was no, poison darts. He was incredibly gracious and made fun of me on stage, which was great. So that was a lot of fun. We had a room full of a few hundred people there to see him talk about his racing career. That portion of the conversation was moderated by someone other than yours truly, and then when it became time to talk about Luftkult, we had a great conversation. Man, he's a really, really good storyteller. I had no idea, actually. That guy's got stories for days. So I'd love to be able to say go watch it somewhere, but they didn't record it.
You're kidding? Nobody recorded it?
They did not have permission to.
Oh,
so
weird.
This was a private event for charity. So folks were paying like $50 to get in there and hang out with us and see that conversation. Yeah, it was. They literally call it the once in a lifetime conversation with Patrick Long. So there it is. If you weren't there, you missed out. It was a really good time. I'll probably do a write up for their Spiel magazine or something like that. So I'll let you guys know about it.
Then JP, do you know anything about Jeff Zwart? You kind of know,
I know who he is, and
illustrious career as a racer and a commercial maker.
Yeah,
and as I understand it, it was him and Patrick Long that started Luftkult together, and it would bear out to reason that Patrick Long's a good storyteller if he would keep Jeff Zwart's attention, because Jeff Zwart, has made a living of telling stories.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that. There's some synergy there. Kind of makes sense, is all I'm saying.
For sure, yeah. Zwart was definitely mentioned numerous times. I don't think he wasn't like an originator. He was someone who was brought in and integral in its development, but was not one of the founders. Yeah, it's. Go ahead.
I would have thought he was on board the whole time.
Yeah. You would certainly think so. Anyways, a great conversation. Good time. Luftkult's awesome. Lots of cool stuff for Luftkult. I guess there's a little scoop. I can give you a little scoop. There was one takeaway there that I think this might be the only place you'll hear it yet. Luft 10 will 99.9% likely be in Southern California. So it will probably be in LA. Because that is where it originated, and his conversation, he talked a lot about how, telling that story and bringing it back full circle, because it'll be the 10th event, and how important and integral LA is to the Luftkult story. So as you're making plans for the next Luft, which don't know when it'll be, probably this spring or something like that, Yeah, it's going to be in LA. So don't think it's going to be on the East Coast on this one or Chattanooga or anything like that. It's coming to LA. So
Are we wearing the jackets? Are we wearing the jackets? Are we wearing the jackets again?
right, yes. It's going to I'm really looking forward to the next Luft. That's going to be so badass.
Mental, don't start with me on the jackets. I dragged mine to Vegas, then I towed it to Monterey, and we never wore them at Rensport. So yeah, we better be breaking out the jackets or I'm burning mine.
Mine's still hanging in a position of prominence in my garage.
Mine is getting stinkier and stinkier as we speak because it's in the boot of one of my 911s. Don't know which one. All right. Oh, and then big shout out to Jeff and Sherry, who hosted me for the weekend and put me up and Jeff and I have a Porsche exchange program. So he comes to my place, I give him a Porsche, and he let me take his, and we had a fan-frickin-tastic drive Sunday night. Not Sunday night, but Sunday. Holy-ish, guys. Jeff had the route. The weather was perfect, which is rare this late in Seattle. We went up and did the North Cascade Highway all the way out to Diablo. We were on back roads just tearing it up, and the leaves weren't wet yet. It was just the colors were beautiful, but it wasn't all slimy. The roads were dry. It was just, man, it was fantastic. Great weekend.
Right.
So there it is. You guys... Switcher, Gary, you were out racing this weekend.
Indeed. I was in New Hampshire where the leaves were also turning, and it was also lovely, and it stayed dry right up until Sunday. I was on a plane this morning. It was 42 degrees in Boston. I was very happy to land here in Vegas and put the top down on my car and drive home.
Deeb, did you get out and drive this weekend?
No, dude. All my cars are up on blocks.
Is the 911 not done yet?
No, dude, I haven't even touched it. Ramon and Tony sent me my wheels, and true to form, just like you predicted, they just took a little tiny piece of cardboard and taped them to the face of my wheels and dropped them in the mail.
That's the way to do it, man. The tire itself is the best protection, man.
No. They took the tires off and sent me the naked rims.
We're both like,
Old.
Okay, don't have comments on that one. Are the wheels okay? Did they get boogered up, or
I'll
that's a whole other.
Find out when we go to balance them. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, all right.
I was a little bit surprised by that one.
Well, were the faces all right though? The faces were all right. Got cardboard on there.
I haven't pulled the cardboard off yet, but if the cardboard is
intact, they should be fine.
Wheel, but the entire rest of the wheels are naked. My wheel spacers were taped to the inside of one wheel, and my lug nuts were taped to the inside of another wheel.
Yeah, they were there,
and that's how that ended.
Well, you got your wheels back, reunited or soon to be reunited with your chiffon white. Hey, that's another Patrick Long scoop that I have for you, Mr. Deeb. Apparently, Patrick's wife. Her favorite Porsche color is chiffon white, and she wants a chiffon white 911. So maybe you can sell your car to one of the Longs. Who knows?
Yeah.
That's a guaranteed in at the next Luft, right?
Right. Yeah.
One would think. All right.
If I brought Patrick Long's wife to Luft Colt in my car,
okay, it's getting a little weird. Shout out to our good friends Godden Porsche, Godden Classic of Las Vegas. They hosted Cars Un Cafe this weekend while I was gone at the Good Wolf. Apparently that was a great show. Rami showed up in his new Dakar 911. He's super stoked about. I still have not seen this car. I'm super stoked to see it. Hey, looks like Anthony's hanging out with us. He's going, "What up, nerds?" Looks like we got some people.
We got Chris. We got Ross. All the usual suspects.
All the huge are hanging out. All right, well, let's get to the cars. The Nerd Herd is here. Let's start the show officially. We made some predictions last week. And, boy, Deeb, looks like you had a pretty good week of predictions. You did all right. Rich didn't throw you off your game here, apparently. What was the...
He did. He did. He lowballed on one of them, but we'll get to that. So
we'll get to that.
Gary, if you would bring up the 1989 Ferrari Mondial T Cabriolet on Cars and Bids. Super nice car with low miles out of San Diego, California. Interesting that we're finding, Ferraris and Porsches and not necessarily full-on exotics, although we have seen a couple of exotics, but we're seeing really good sports cars now come on to Cars and Bids and sell on Cars and Bids. And this Ferrari had a couple things going for it. It's the last of the 3 generations of the Mondial. The T is with the 348 motor, so that's got 300 horsepower. This is really the best drivetrain you can get if you're getting a Mondial. It's also injected. The first ones were carbureted. Also worth noting, low miles, 23,500 miles. And what I consider to be, just me, little old me, a super rare paint job on a Mondial Cabriolet. I mean, go ahead and find me another yellow one and send it to me in the mail, because you just don't see them in yellow that often. Not that I've noticed. And I've been paying attention since 1985. So anyway, here we go. Let's see what Doug DeMuro could do. Our car was sitting at around 60 grand when we looked at it, and I think that's worth noting. So I went to 70 because the car needs belts, and I thought this car might bring 75 or 80 had the belts been done. JP took the over at 75, which was surprising to me because our car was already at 60, and JP starts every bid that he presents on Cars and Bids with, well, we know this platform doesn't get any more bids after we cover them. And then he went and put $15,000 on top of where it was sitting. So that surprised me. Mental said 81,355, which was a really high bid, and I'm not sure why he did that. And then Rich, our cigars and bourbon guest, took the under at 65 and said that he basically thought the car was done. I think it was at like 60 or 63, and so he just put a couple of grand on top of it and went to $65,000. So anyways, who wants to go first? Is anybody in the nerd herd going to jump in with us, or should we just get right to the result?
Ross was at 72. He actually has all of his bids written down from last week, so he is raring to go.
Ross, he just became the intern of the show. You have to write down all the guest things and then post them as I'm reviewing the cars. Okay, thanks. No problem.
He also did threaten to actually make it to Luft 24.
Well,
that'd be
awesome.
cool. There you go.
Absolutely. We're hanging out the whole time. Ross is buying. Okay, here we go. So without further ado, our car sold for $63,000, which means it either didn't get another bid or got 1 or 2 more bids. Rich was the winner. Our guest nerd was the winner. Just 17 bids, so not a lot of action on the Mondial on Cars and Bids, but I will applaud both the consignor and the platform for setting a realistic reserve. $63,000. Yeah, maybe this car would have been worth more money 4 months ago, but it's not 4 months ago. It's right now. And so I at such a low bid, I'm pleased to see that the car sold, that they made the deal. Like, I don't know if Cars and Bids had to cover it. I don't know if Cars and Bids has a protocol to cover it. But 63,000 is just a little bit under where I thought it might land. And yet I'm still pleased to see that it sold. So that's my only sort of side comment on that. I also think it's pretty well built, well bought, considering it's the off season and it didn't take a lot to acquire a low mileage, rare paint job of the best version of a particular model of a manual Ferrari. I think that price will age well moving forward. This car could be a $100,000 car in a year or two. We'll see. Time will tell, but I don't think that's a crazy hot take. Anyway, JP, I send it back to you while you're playing with your nose after I got scolded for blowing mine in the mic before the show started. All you. What do you think of that result?
Playing with my nose, I was getting something out of my eye. I had something in my eye. My eye, man. I had something in my eye. Yeah, I think yellow hurt it. I think that this car is a surprise at how low this went for, given the extra attention the car got from Doug DeMuro's video on the car. Usually when he does a profile of something, it gets so much more attention that usually equals dollars later down the road. But as per usual, this Cars and Bids phenomena of not getting more bids on the last day, I don't know what to make of that. They have gotten some great results on some pretty amazing cars, but this whole thing where people aren't watching at the last minute on the last day, I don't get it. I don't get it. Do you think it might have something to do with the whole 2-minute versus minute thing, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do.
You think that?
I do. I think that's a problem. I think they are shooting themselves in the foot from having fireworks at the end because the clock is too small. So what they're doing is they're putting pressure on real bidders to put your best bid forward before before you even get to the clock. Otherwise, nobody wants to sit there and make that rushed decision when the clock is turning. It's already frantic enough on a 2-minute clock. Think of how much more intense it is if you're trying to win one with just a minute clock. So I think bids are flushed out in advance. Now they might like it that way, but I think the platform would be a whole lot more exciting. I think you'd have more user engagement if the clock relaxed at least 30 seconds, but a full another minute would be, in my opinion, the right way to do it.
I don't know.
It looks like this car got 3 bids at the close of auction.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy to me that the eyeballs just aren't there. I mean, on BAT, how many more people are looking at any given auction at any given time? That would be interesting information to actually have. Like, what is the average eyeballs on an auction at close on average?
This car got 16,000 views, and I'd say that's about 50% more than the average, at least. Implying that they get probably around 8 to 10,000 views per. At 16,000, this could be anywhere from 50% to 100% more eyeballs, just maybe because it was the yellow Ferrari or that Doug did a video review of it, or for whatever reason. So this car got the attention. This car did not get the bid. 17 bids is actually, I think, a low bid count for a Cars and Bids car that's sold, especially something as fun as this.
Well, I appreciate that breakdown on how many views it got, but I think further analysis, if it were possible to say, all right, of all those views that they got, you say 16,000, twice as many as usual, that I'm sure that's attributed to the Doug DeMuro video. That said, how many of them were on the last day? How many people are watching in the last half hour of an auction on Cars and Bids on average versus bring a trailer? I mean, I don't know if there's any way to get that information, but that sure would be interesting to know how much more traffic BAT gets on a listing in that last half hour than Cars and Bids, because I suspect all those extra views that they got were probably on the first day rather than the second, third, fifth, or even seventh. Because as soon as that video dropped, that's when everyone was looking at this, and then the people that wanted put their bids in and then went off and did something else. Mental, what do you think?
We're getting a lot of good feedback here from the nerd herd that maybe it wasn't the platform on this one. We're all excited about this car, but we're all children of the 80s. And maybe the Mondials just have not found their footing in the collector market. I think everything we said last week was right. It's unusual. It's an unusual color, and they do well on Cars and Bids on this one. But, maybe 35% of the bidding market on a yellow Mondial is hosting this show.
I don't know. I mean, Deeb, you always have the comps. What are these selling for? I mean, I don't buy that. I guess I think this is a Cars and Bids fail. I think if it were on BAT, it would have brought more money. The car, if a Mondial is going to sell for big money, this is the one that's going to do it. Rare color, low miles, correct engine, extra attention from a celebrity. This has everything that a car should have to get the high dollars. And I know guys are ishing on the Mondial, but look, a lot of people love them. What's that?
Tony saying that means 17 people actually wanted one. That's really funny. But is there something to be said, JP, that 85% of the country has walked away from convertibles for the next 4 months?
Yeah.
Like, is that a problem? Because in my opinion, if this car sold 4 months to 6 months earlier, this would have brought, let's say, 10% more money. That's $70,000. That's the low end of what I think these cars are worth. High end, they painted the bumpers and cleaned it up a little bit. Maybe this car could have brought 80, 85. It's not a $100,000 car yet. But rare color, low miles, the best engine, it's just
17 people. No, it's 17 bids, right? So that, at least a couple of those people bid more than once. So we're talking like a dozen or something, maybe less.
Yeah. Wow.
All
way to
right.
hold Tony's comments to the fire. All right, let's get off this damn car. I'm bored of it already.
Let's, all right. Well, what do you guys think of the results of this Mondial? Let us know in the comments below, and we will move on to the next car. What do we got?
All right, Switcher, this is for you, baby. The 1974 Saab 99 EMS. There it is. Boom. Look at that thing in orange. This car is really cool. not necessarily restored, but certainly taken care of by some really passionate owners, and kept really original with some tasteful mods, outstanding condition, and such an early model of this platform that I would go out on a limb and say, I mean, I don't know that I've ever been consciously looking at a 99 EMS ever. Like, it predates the 900, which is where my engagement began with Saabs. Really cool car, on the right platform, good write-up, a lot of great comments by the seller. And I thought this car stood a chance to do really well. It was in the mid 30,000s when we were looking at it. And without further ado, I jumped in and said $40,000, which I thought was a lot for a Saab at that time. I think it was at 31 when we looked at it. And then every single bid came in over mine, and I got really nervous. So JP went all in at $49,900. Rich was in studio and said $50,996, throw in a little Porsche love. And then Mental was at $51,099 and was the high bid man in studio. Was anybody in the nerd herd going to remind us of what their bids were when we covered it?
Halfway through the Ferrari listing, Ross was saying, show me the orange Saab. I need it to be at 49. He needs it for his Yahtzee.
Yeah. All right. Well, our Saab sold, but it didn't bring the money we thought. $37,500 was the hammer on 24 bids. Again, a really cool car that I thought was going to have a bit of a frenzy, because again, where on earth would you go to find another one like this? In the 3 years that JP and I have been doing the show, we've covered a couple of old Saabs, but I don't think anywhere as nice or as perhaps good a driver as this one would ultimately be. So I thought this one stood a chance to set a really high watermark. And look, 37,500 may be a high watermark by a long shot, but it didn't bring the 50 grand that the three of you guys thought. So I wound up covering that bid by being the low man at 40. JP, surprised by that result, considering everybody else thought that car stood a chance to bring 50,000, or did I just talk it up too much?
Yeah, I'm surprised that I bid that much. I don't like these. I had a buddy in high school that had one, and it was funny how classy Saabs were back in the 80s. You know, that was in 1988 or 89, so the 900 looked really good. The 87 was kind of like the update to that car that really cleaned it up and made it awesome. That was considered a super classy car. This car is not that. If you've ever driven one of the, solid top end, basically the 8-valve versions of these are the most gutless car. I mean, my Fiat was as fast or faster. Did we lose my audio there for a second?
No, you're good.
No.
Okay. But yeah, they're just, I don't like this car. I mean, I don't like the way it looks. I don't like anything about it, really. And looking, it was kind of funny just watching the bid. I was just basically thinking that, well, where it was at the time we were looking at it, just generally, if it's the day before, you can count on 30 to 50% more on the second day, unlike cars and bids. This car didn't bring it. I mean, more people wanted it than that Mondial, though. What do you think, Mental?
I think it's a sad, sad world I stick on the thought that this is a cool car, but it's a sad world when more people want a Saab 99 than a Ferrari Mondial. Do the money on that. What was the price difference that this thing actually sold for versus that Mondial? Yeah, I'm holding you out to do math because I'm from Georgia and I'm not going to do it in public. But
I don't understand what delta do you want me to give you? I can do math in my head, but I don't understand.
Oh yeah. So this thing sold for, we said 39. You said we were all
60% of the value of the Mondial.
Yeah, just let that one mull around in your head for a little bit.
That is absurd. I mean, everyone ishing on the Mondial. Look, I'm sorry. I said it on the last episode on that Mondial. Chris Harris has one and loves it. So all of you guys that are ishing on Mondials, I mean, you are not
drove one.
As cool
clearly
as Chris Harris. So you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
No one is as cool as Chris Harris. Yes.
All right. So what else we got?
Nope.
Wait. Before I say that, what do you guys think of the results of this car? Let us know in the comments below. Let's move on to the next car.
Mental, no one's as short as Chris Harris. All right, let's pull up that Mercedes-Benz G550 4x4 Square that was on Bring a Trailer. This is the 2017 car.
Now I can probably start properly start ishing on a car.
Yeah, here we go. Look, I don't think they make a ton of these. This one only has 4,900 miles. JP went through the merits of why this generation of the Square is better than the brand new one that's on offer now. JP also mentioned that they only made these for a while, then they stopped making them. So I would stand to believe that the cars are supremely popular with the bottle service, new money, crypto bro market. And if there's only so many of them out there, and I like this colorway in white with the black trim and the red calipers, low mileage at 4,900 miles. This car looks like it stood a chance to bring some serious money. I had to go first, and I don't really know what these things are worth. So I came in at 185,000, which was, I think, kind of laughable because everybody else came in over 200,000. So JP dropped 205. Rich went just over him at 207, and Mental apparently really likes these things and went $225,000. Ross or anybody else want to remind us of their bids?
Not yet. They actually all still talking about the Mondial.
All right. Well, the hell with it then. Without further ado, our car failed to launch. So $165,000 is where the hammer fell. It failed to sell at that number on just 22 bids. Not a lot of action, not a lot of money. JP, any idea on what the explanation could be as to why this car didn't bring a retail number? I mean, everything on it looks stock. The mileage is low. It looks to be in really nice condition. It's a car that I would say is not terribly common. It would be, you'd have to, I think, really work to find one. And so the right color, the right miles, the right condition. How on earth did this car not bring 200? At least fail to sell at $200,000. Like at 165, I mean, they missed the mark by, $35,000. That this is like 10% off, right?
Yeah, this doesn't make sense. I mean, I'm not shocked at all that reserve was not met at that bid. Look, crypto bros don't get up till noon, and this auction, closed at like 10 o'clock or something like that. I mean, if you were getting bottle service, you're just you're pretty groggy eyed. Who's watching an auction first thing in the morning at 10:30? I mean, that's basically what it is. If you're the kind of person that's driving one of these around. What?
That's a good argument, JP, but it's 10:30 our time, which means it's 1:30 their time. Like they're up, dude.
Wait, what? Oh, you mean on the East Coast or something like that?
Yeah.
I guess. Okay. Yeah. I don't know, man. It doesn't make sense. I mean, again, every now and then weird stuff happens on BAT. I think we're going to see this happen more and more often on these high dollar modern cars. I think we're going to still see some big numbers on the classic collectible stuff, but this is just not a collectible rig. This guy is going to be able to sell it at a car lot or a consignment place or something like that. No problem. Somewhere.
Pay here.
Yeah.
CarMax.
I didn't say that. Yeah, but CarMax would. I'm sure if you roll this into CarMax, you're getting 200 for it, or at least $190 or something like that. There's no way that this guy. This is Sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes we say, you know what, get off the car, get out of there, just eat the loss. This guy did the right thing by not lowering his reserve because that would have just been ridiculously low. Of course, he probably has a loan on it too, so he's probably in it for 205. What do you think, Mental? Here we go.
They are garbage wagons. The word is out that they are garbage wagons. People would rather have a regular AMG. This is the four-wheeled equivalent to a Hublot. Crappy movement, crappy watch, bunch of bling, and it's garbage, and everyone knows it.
So the guy should go out and get a Bronco.
Says the guy who's never driven one. Okay.
I drove Rami's, and it sucked.
When did you drive? You drove Rami's new one. You didn't drive his old one.
I drove his X Squared. We used it as a chase car.
When that was the new one.
All right, well, it sucked.
You have not driven, and I agree with that. Actually, the new ones do suck, but the old ones,
right.
I mean,
the black one was the greatest.
The G60, that was a new one too. Those suck compared to the G63 of this generation. I'm with you, Mental, is actually the better rig.
But that G63, the black one, that was actually a 6.3. If I'm not correct.
But it was still the new style. It was still the new body style, whatever the hell you call that. The minivan squared. All right, moving on. Yeah. What do you guys think of the results of this G squared monstrosity? Let us know in the comments below.
We have a listener question. I want to throw it out to you guys. So Tony is asking, what makes you look like a bigger wannabe, a basic G-Wagon or a yellow Mondial?
That is a good question. I am going to go with the basic G-Wagon because you can go out and get, the worst thing is like when someone buys like a 2003 G-Wagon and then puts the G63 nose on the front to make it look like a newer one, but it's not. And then they put the 24-inch baller wheels with the super low-profile tires. That's the kind of rig. What's that? Yeah, and then they wrap it some satin color, and then it winds up at our friend Daniel's German Motors because they can't even afford an oil change, and then he winds up, getting it and selling it at auction or something like that because someone just abandons it. Yeah, let us know in the comments below what you think of the results of this G-Wagon. Let's get out of here. What's the next car?
All right, moving on. Switcher, would you please bring up the 2015 Porsche 911? Nope. Yep, Carrera GTS cab on Cars and Bids. Our car was offered out of Scottsdale, Arizona, with 77,000 miles and a PDK, a 7-speed PDK. This is the last of the normally aspirated cars, makes 430 horsepower. GTS cab, this is, despite the transmission, and looks, it's not like the transmission. The manual will just be more fun, but this transmission is still amazing. This is a fantastic driving car. I don't think you sacrifice anything by taking a cabriolet with this generation of car, especially with the GTS having the upgraded suspension and exhaust. I love this thing. It's a really cool car. The colorway, not my favorite. I know a few of the guys in the studio liked it. But anyway, I digress. Nice car, especially in the shadow of that purple GTS coupe that we covered that broke the bank at $160,000 or whatever it was. We thought this would be an interesting car to compare it to. Without further ado, I said that I thought $69,000 because it's late in the season and the car has high miles. And I thought that the colorway was a bit polarizing. I don't think it's for everyone. And it's not a rare colorway like our purple car was, which ironically makes it more attractive. I thought that the red here might put a few people off. That's just not for everybody. JP, you took the under at 65. Rich took the way under at 60,000, and then Mental covered the top at $75,000. Anybody out there in the nerd herd want to?
Just get us to the number.
All right,
the nerd herds all love this car, though.
Yeah.
All right, our car sold for $68,500, meaning I missed a Yahtzee by $500. 30 bids was all it took to win this car, and that wound up being a small but our high bid count of the week. So, JP, you think that number makes sense? I mean, you were only off by a couple grand yourself, you know?
I mean, we were all kind of in that same ballpark there. This is a spectacular car, kind of high miles and stuff like that. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. But it's just not, I still would rather have the Mondial. I'm going to keep going back there. I think that's a more bling for the buck kind of car. I think it's going to be more fun. Is it going to be as reliable as this thing? No, I guess not. But I don't know. I feel like if you're going to spend almost 70 grand, let's get something that's got some like sense of occasion. This GTS is great, but it's just, okay. All right. Okay. What do you think, Mental?
I'm with the nerd herd on this one. This it's a well bought car, but yeah, if you want to make a splash, yeah, you're totally gonna go for that Mondial. But this is like I said last week, I've been hanging out with you too long because I like this Cabro, I like this color. I would have bought this car, just I don't have that kind of money.
So like Switcher Jesus, if you guys have been watching this show, less than a month ago, Switcher Jesus was viral, manly. He had lots and lots of long hair. Sometimes he put it in a man bun. He had the cool beard and everything like that. He would have looked great in the Mondial, but now he looks like he belongs in the GTS.
That hurts a little.
Wow.
I'm just saying.
I didn't say you're wrong. I said it hurt.
Right. I appreciate that. I appreciate that you feeling it. What do you guys think? Does Switcher Jesus belong in a Mondial Or does Switcher Gary belong in a? What did Anthony say about this car? It's a new PCA member spec.
new member spec car.
That's so on point. Patrick Long was great at his event this weekend. I know I was talking about it at the beginning of the show. One of the things he was talking about when he was talking about Luftkult, he was like, this is a room full of septuagenarians who don't know what Luftkult is. And and like when they were introducing that portion of the event, the geriatric fella with the microphone who was introducing me and Patrick he said something like, now they're going to talk about the Luftkult Gult's thing, and everyone in the room is like, oh god. So it came to us, and then as Patrick was talking about the types of cars that he likes, he's like, I'm looking for things that are interesting. I love cars that are beat up, that look like they've been driven. I could give a fuck if it has matching numbers, and it's like, this is a room full of PCA members. Half of them were clutching their pearls when he said that. Like, guffaw. Oh dear Lord, did he say that? So he basically just flipped off half the people in PCA, which was absolutely fantastic. So more respect for Patrick than I had at the beginning of the weekend. Okay, let's take a quick break and come back with 4 amazing predictions that are going to be so spot on. Okay, we don't know what we're doing. We'll be right back. Hey guys, I gotta tell you about our friends Godden Porsche of Las Vegas and Godden Classic. If you're looking for a new Porsche or a classic, you gotta call our friend Steve at Godden, this guy. Save yourself the hassle of screwing around with all the auctions like we always talk about, and just talk to Steve. He'll find you the classic Porsche you're looking for. Godden Porsche of Las Vegas. If you don't subscribe to Bid Nerds on YouTube right now, I'm gonna shoot this 997. If you said, wait, that's a 996, you're a nerd. So subscribe to the new YouTube channel, Bid Nerds.
Get those nerds!
Oh, look at that. Dead air. Love it. I'm looking at our live feed here, and I was looking at don't we usually have another thing after that? Or does it really just come back to me? That's crazy. Why would you come back to me? Hey, welcome back to Bid Nerds. What's that?
We used to pump the Rami show, but I don't know.
Yeah, we need to get a new Rami show commercial in here, and we also need to get a Guy's Custom Bracelets commercial because Christmas is coming up. It's time for a Guy's Customs bracelet. Where's yours, Michael Deeb? What's going on?
I'm naked today,
You're wearing a T-shirt. I don't know if I've ever seen... Even in August, it's cold in that goddamn space of yours. Did you get a space heater? Did your wife get you an early Christmas present?
I literally have a space heater right between my ankles. It's hilarious. Heat rises.
Deeb's got sweaty pants. I could have said something worse, but I didn't.
And I would say in guys' custom speak, if you look at my wrist today, I'm going commando.
Sahan apparently is buying me a Mondial because he knows how stoked I am about it. Thanks, Sahan. That's really nice of you. Get me one. The yellow Ferraris we talked about earlier. How's your yellow Ferrari there, Michael Deeb?
What?
Your buddy's yellow Ferrari. How is it? The Dino.
Technically not a Ferrari.
Yeah, but not yellow either. You talking about Yuri's GT4 Dino?
Yeah, isn't it yellow?
No, it's called Rosso Ferrari, and it's kind of like a burgundy color. It's not red, and it's not really burgundy. It's like kind of a maroon color, but really beautiful car.
I don't know why I envisioned. I thought it was yellow. That's crazy. All right.
That's so weird because it was in the show when you came out to launch Cars Un Cafe in San Francisco. It was there.
I didn't get to ride in it, so I just had it in my head that it was yellow this whole time. I don't know why. Have you ever seen like a fire truck at night? The red ones, it looks yellow and black and white. Yeah, that's a whole other story. All right, moving on. We have some predictions for cars. Yeah. What do we got? What's the first car on the list?
All right, let's Switcher Gary. Would you please bring up the 1993 RS America, the black one on Bring a Trailer, please?
93 RS America?
94. Whoops.
Sorry.
I wrote it wrong.
Sorry.
Look at that. 94. Does this car have a back seat? I got to do my homework. Anyway, that's not it.
94? Okay.
The one on BAT.
Watch this dead air, folks. You guys talk while I go back to the spreadsheet.
It on the sheets, it's the one that closes on Tuesday the 31st.
The second one down, mental.
Yeah, 1993 RS America on BAT, the black car, and it is actually
a 93 black car.
It's the second one down on the list.
You guys are killing me. There is no. I've got a red 1993.
Right.
This is
the car.
Reading
right
Comprehension by Bid Nerds.
You said black car is okay.
It's
Just go
the
right
second 993 or 911 RS. There's two 911 RS.
That one's a 94.
It doesn't matter what year it
pull
is.
that one up.
Just
Yep.
pick the second one.
You're giving me 3 bad pieces of information. And
The
I'm supposed to figure out
There
what
it
is wrong.
There it is.
You're
There it is.
cross-referencing all the stuff. It's the second one. Okay, there it is. Moving on. Jeez,
That was
Louise, it
easy.
shows off the rails.
All right. On Bring a Trailer is this 1994 Porsche 911 RS America. This car has 76,000 miles and is offered out of Westchester, Pennsylvania. The first thing I want to bring up is that BAT has done a terrible job bringing this car to market. Everyone that knows these cars know they came with 4 options, and nowhere in this do they list the 4 options on the car, which I think is really, really shitty marketing by Bring a Trailer. Like, that is really bad. It is noted that the car has limited slip differential. We can see that there's an air conditioning unit in the trunk. They list at the very top of the heading, they list it as a no sunroof RS America, but then there is an aftermarket radio, and they don't tell you whether or not this car was a radio option car or not. In fact, they don't show you the window sticker at all. They do show you the sticker that's underneath the front hood, but even I don't know all the option codes for AC and not getting the sunroof or the radio. So it's pretty bad. I think they did a really lousy job with this. Other than that, it's a really nice car with some miles on it. There was an accident in 05, but it doesn't say whether or not it was minor or major. And here it is. That's it's a good looking car. RS Americas are breaking the bank everywhere. This car does have a few miles on it, but the slick top does make it that much more attractive. And as such, I think people will forgive the older accident. And this car is sure to bring some serious money. It is also a one-owner car, which is another reason why I think it's kind of unforgivable that they don't have the window sticker and that they didn't do a good job listing what the options were. Outside of that, JP, I had one of these. I would love to get into another one of these days. They do bring really good money. This is on the right platform. It's an attractive colorway. This car could, despite the miles in the accident, this car could still bring some serious coin. I send it back to you. What do you think is going to happen here?
Yeah, this does kind of have P-Car Market style listing all over it. The fact that the listing says it has LSD and it doesn't, that is just, that would tick me off if I were, that's the kind of thing that you buy the car and then you get it and then, or you go to pick it up or you get it shipped to you and you find out it doesn't have that. That's a deal killer. That's like, hey, I want my money back situation. What would you do if you thought the car had something like LSD and it didn't when you got the car delivered to you? How would you respond to that, Deeb?
Oh, I would go to the highest ranking official I could find at BAT and be like, you've got to unwind this deal or make me whole, because it changes the value of the car and it was misrepresented. That's just terrible.
Yeah, it's not like BAT can unwind it though, because BAT doesn't really have anything to do. They could give you your premium back. But you'd want them to get involved to put the pressure on the consignor and by threatening him that he'd be blacklisted for misrepresenting the car, unless BAT made the mistake. That's what I'm getting. If it was a BAT mistake, what do you think, Mental? Is that something that would be a deal killer after the fact for you?
I do not collect at the same level you guys. If this thing showed up in my driveway, it would be 6 months before I could begin or end any sentence without using the words, I have an RS America.
Yeah, but if you spend, okay, and I appreciate that. So you save up the money. This is a car that you've always wanted. You're super excited to get it. You drop the 120, 150 grand to do so, thinking that it has, arguably the best. It has to have an LSD and it has to Well, I mean, LSD is the one option that really matters as far as I'm concerned. The slick top or convertible, I don't care. AC, we live in Vegas. I would like one with AC. Does it have a stereo? Yeah, I'd like it to have a stereo. But the LSD is the one deal breaker. That car shows up, you spend all the money, and it doesn't have that. That option doesn't matter to you at all.
In this case, no, because I'm not buying this car to collect it. I'm buying this car to drive the snot out of it.
But that's
and I would
that has
probably
nothing to-
I would go and have the LSD put in it.
I mean, the LSD. I don't care about the collector value as far as the LSD. I want the LSD because of how it drives. I mean, that is a significant difference between the two cars. Deeb, yours had LSD, didn't it?
It did not. My Ruby car did, and my RSA did not. It was a stereo AC sunroof car, not slick top, and had no limited slip differential, which was kind of a bummer. But the car still handled amazing, but a limited slip differential. Personally, I think the right way to order this car is no AC, no radio, and you get a slick top and a limited slip differential, and then you have the most distilled driving car with a lower center of gravity that is possible, in a domestic form without being a real European RS that has more horsepower and a seam welded chassis and all the magnesium parts scattered throughout the car, including like parts of the brake calipers.
You really wouldn't want AC? I mean, I guess you're in San Francisco, so it doesn't matter to you. But here,
if you were gonna order one, that would be the purest way to order one. But if living in Vegas, my car that I had with AC was a dream because the AC actually works.
It works in 964s. Yeah, I would even if I lived in a region, the whole purity thing. It's a road car. Who gives a shit if it's pure? Whatever. Yes, I get that. If your plan was purely to race it, okay, But even then, geez, have you ever been on a racetrack in a car with no AC? It sucks. You got to get one of those cool suits, and they never work, and all that stuff. Jason Alter is worried about his new Lotus Exige cup car. That thing doesn't have AC. He's going to be burning his balls. He's going to be hotter than you in your studio with a heater blowing up your crotch. All right,
definition of a race car is you do not have air conditioning. It's a race car. That's why. And yes, I have a cool shirt.
Whatever. I'm a pussy. I want to be comfortable, and I never am. All right, what's this car going to bring?
All right, so our car is sitting at $83,000 despite the high miles and the accident. It closes essentially tomorrow, and it has just 10 bids. Man, the bid numbers of the cars that we've been looking at recently on Bring a Trailer are way down. Evidence of a softening market? I would say yes, indeed. That being said, I still think this car is going to bring some money. It's interesting to think where both BAT and the consignor set the reserve. I really wish that was something that in some way you could figure out at the end. But I'm going to stick with the number I put down when I made my notes. JP, I'm going to send it to you at $133,000. I think this car is worth a little more. I wonder if it's going to peter out just a little bit. RS Americas are probably so rare it won't matter. But I kind of my instinct when I made my notes was that this car would fail to sell at $133,000. I don't think they did a good job with regards to writing limited slip differential and not showing M220 on the sticker. So there's incompetence. There's evidence of incompetence either by the consignor or by the platform. And I just felt like that might trip this car up on its way to the finish line. So that's why I did 133 and a failure to sell when I believe this is about a $145,000 car.
All this talk of LSD, this car does not have LSD.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So the way you just said it, it sounded like, okay, whatever. We all agree that, the way you said it, it sounded like you were saying that they didn't list that it had LSD when it did. So I just want to make sure that we're clear about that. This car does not have LSD.
BAT wrote it in the description on the final sentence above the, one above the last box before photos. But there is a photograph of the build sticker, and this car did not come from the factory with a limited slip differential.
Yeah. Also, the very observant nerd herd has noticed that in the comments, the seller says the only option he got was AC.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I think that, there's a softening in general that I think that comes along with November, and we're going into holidays. People are not thinking about buying collector cars, regardless of what's going on in the world and economy and all that kind of fun stuff. Don't get me started. But I just think in general, I didn't say the I word. I didn't even say it. It didn't even happen. Yeah, I'm going to say 129,964, and it's an FTS because I think this ad is botched. It's a bad time of year, and at this point, I just think it's going to be tough to sell stuff like this. The only cars they're going to be selling, I think, Black Friday is going to come around, and there's going to start to be a ton of discounts on brand new cars, on trucks and stuff like that, like there usually is on any other normal year.
And the strike is done, so they'll be building cars again.
Yeah, so you can be sure that trunk money and rebates are on the way. But again, that's for new cars, and I think that most people are thinking new cars. There's with the money that the factory is going to start throwing at cars to get rid of them, that'll make up for the increase in interest rates that people have to pay to buy these things. So I think there's going to be some deals at the end of the year here. But, it's classic car season is officially over. And, you read ads on like Pelican or Renlist and stuff like that. And, I've seen ads that have been up for a few weeks and then now they're listed, hey, car's not for sale again till spring because they've put it away and winterized the damn thing. There's a double-digit percentage of the market that is just no longer in the market. If you live in Minnesota, you're not buying a classic car because you can't get it there. So what do you think, Mental?
All compelling points. I think also just, there's a couple of us that would just be over giggly happy about having an RS America. We would still do our due diligence, and knowing that I got it with or without an LSD is not going to make a bit of a deal. But I'm going to be off put by what sounds like a sketchy ad before you start throwing that kind of stuff, especially this car. So I think the ad is going to hurt it. I think that's where it's coming from, and I think you're going to be in some trouble. This really feels like just they bungled a good and proper car that they could have sold for a lot of money. Deeb?
Yeah. Okay. What?
No, I'm kicking it back to you here because the nerd herd is throwing their they're throwing your no one. Well, only JP didn't even throw a number out.
Yeah. 129,964.
Okay.
Yeah. And I came in at 133.
133.
Just in case, until
I'm not gonna be as optimistic. I'm gonna say 125 and fails to sell, which puts me right in the bucket with Sahan.
Yeah. I think we all agree. Deep, did you say it's going to FTS at your number 2, or do you think it'll actually sell at that?
No, that's where I started. Is that I believe that everybody involved thinks that this car is worth 140, 145, but I think they did a bad job, and thus it will fail to sell at a reasonably high number, but not what it's worth.
All right, guys,
put your bid to 130 and sells, I'll be shocked.
Put your bid in the comments below. Let's move on to the next car. What do we got?
All right, Switcher Jesus, would you please pull up the 1989 Porsche 911 Speedster on Bring a Trailer, please? We looked
it's
at
the
that
only
car.
one on the list, Mental.
Oh, come on, stop.
Just to give you, it's the only one.
Yeah, this gets a lot easier when you stop talking.
It's the only one.
We covered that white car the other day out of Florida that had a bunch of miles on it, and I thought this would be a great juxtaposition to look at this car out of Houston, Texas, that has just 11,000 miles on it. And as Mental scrolls down and gets down to the bottom of the bucket, there's some photos of the motor underneath, and this car still has factory Cosmoline on it. Highly optioned car, but a lot of the Speedsters were. This car comes with California emissions, so it was a California car originally. A Blaupunk Reno, shorter gear shift lever. It doesn't have rear seats, JP. It's got the luggage compartment in place of the rear seats. And then, cruise control, air conditioning, lumbar sports, supple ball sock leather, as JP likes to call it. Really nice car, really well brought to market. Part of a collection out of the guys they call Driver Source. It's part of their Oct Motor Fest, whatever it is. They bring a bunch of cars together as a single grouping to BAT, and this is one of those cars. It looks like it's a really special car. It's in really nice condition, and 11,000 miles, I'd say this is still collector. Our car doesn't close for a couple of days. And again, it's down in Houston, but I don't think it's at it down in Houston. So JP, you keep talking and I will look on the Carfax to see where this car has lived. But nice car. And while that other car we thought out of Florida with high miles was either going to be had for a bargain or it wouldn't sell, I think it didn't sell. We were curious to see what would happen with this car. And so anyways, here we are.
You mentioned that the back seat has that cool partial shelf. Yeah. I'm trying to. They all do, don't they? No 911 Speedsters, G-body Speedsters have a back seat.
Yeah, maybe that's just an option.
Because with the
option code. But it's an option code, but it's probably on all North American cars. They probably crash tested one like that. And so they have to list it as an option, but they're all built like that. So you get a line for it. But I probably presented it the wrong way.
No, that's all right.
I think you're right.
It's an interesting point that I never really thought of, and I'm like, going, did they ever actually? Maybe someone in the nerd herd can prove us wrong on that, because I certainly can't think of ever having seen one. It doesn't make sense that there'd be seats back there because the clamshell's closed when, unlike a normal cabrio, when the top is down, there's seat belts and stuff like that, and that's another problem too, is that there'd be no place to anchor seat belts with all that stuff in the way. Yeah, it's crazy seeing where this car is at already. It's got days to go, and it's at $195,000, which is tens and tens of thousands more than the other one failed to sell at. At the end of its auction. While you're looking for whatever it is that you're looking for, have we seen a narrow body one for sale yet on any of the auctions? Because that's what I really want to see.
I did recently, JP. I think it was on Collector Cars, which is the UK-based auction platform that do sell cars from the United States. Mental, you'll love this because they hired Chris Harris as like an ambassador. He's part of the company. But they had a black narrow-body Speedster on their site recently, but it was in Europe. I do not recall the result, but the moment I saw what it was, I was like, "Oh, there's JP's car."
Yeah, do we have any idea how many of those there are in the country? There can't be very many. I think look,
they only made 800 Speedsters over the 1 year for the entirety of the production run. So how many? Just say how many narrow body Speedsters they make out of the 800? I don't think it was 50. Do you?
Yeah, I thought it was like single digit. Maybe it is under 100, 3 digit, but very, very rare, because they were all no one bought one off the showroom floor unless it was, obviously the dealership ordered some, but none of the dealerships ordered them that way. They all ordered them with 491. Every single one of them. They all, or not 49. It wouldn't be 491. It'd be what? Because it doesn't have a tail. What's the distinction?
It's just M470.
470. Thank you. Yeah. So,
And the inverse on the 964s, whereas the entire world of 964 Speedsters are all narrow body, and they made single digit wide body ones like America Roadsters, but with the actual Speedster, the low windshield and the different windows that you'd pointed out before.
I actually really didn't know that they made factory wide body 964 Speedsters.
Less than 8. I mean, I think it's like
same kind of deal.
I think it's like 4 or 8 of them or something.
Because I don't think they offered that option. That must have been Special Wishes stuff, right?
And it might have been only in Europe.
Yeah, your last name had to be Porsche.
Yeah, or Seinfeld.
Exactly. Yeah, right.
All right. Well, what do we think this thing's going to bring?
All right, JP. So as you mentioned, our car is already up to. Oh, I also want to say it's a California car, but this car spent the first half of its life in Florida, and then let's speed forward. It went to Illinois in 2004, and then out to California in 2019, and then back to Houston in preparation for this sale. Our car, John, is sitting at $195,000, just like you said. Thank you, and it is on just 8 bids. And it closes in a couple days from now. So without further ado, I'm just sticking to my guns. John, I think this car is going to bring $230,000. And it's because of the condition, the 3-owner history, the Cosmoline underneath. It's interesting because this car does not have a limited slip differential. I failed to mention that. And that's why the only reason I thought the option list was interesting, because like you said, I think almost all of them came with that partial shelf. I thought they all came with LSD, and apparently that was an option. And whoever ordered this one didn't get it. I don't think it's going to hold it back, but really neat car. I think this one's going to do really well. It's just, to me, it looks like it's poised. It wouldn't surprise me if it brings 250, but I think 230 is the number for a red one with over 10,000 miles.
I'll go 230. What number did you say? 230?
230,000.
Yeah, I'll go 235, 911. What do you think, Mental?
I think everything you guys are talking about, it's winter, softening market, all of this, because it's such a low mileage car, this is not an enthusiast car. This is an investor car, and everything affects the investor's cars. I'm going to say it fails to sell at 215.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, so you think in we're not going to see that 20% bump on the last day, 20, 30% bump. You think it's 2 days out and that's it. That's all she wrote on this thing, Mental.
I just don't see the folks that invest in these cars getting this excited this late in the season, knowing that they can't resell it. They're going to look for a bargain, and the guy selling this one clearly is not going to let it go for a bargain. The picture with all of them on there, that's an AMG Hammer back there, like one of the original ones, and a Speedster. And there's some incredible cars in this collection, and they'll put it right back in the warehouse.
Yeah, I don't know, though. I think that, I mean, honestly, my bid, Deeb's bid, I think those all represent a bargain. And so if it fails to sell, I think, I mean, there's real potential that it could fail to sell at 235, 911. Because if this were 3-6 months ago, this is a darn near $300,000 car. It's got 11,000 miles on it. 911 Speedsters are worth big money when they're collector mileage like this one. Now, this one isn't like 4-digit mileage, but it's pretty darn close. This is definitely the kind of car that someone's going to buy and unfortunately not drive. And if you are an investor and you don't need the money, kind of like the person you're describing, Mental being the current owner, somebody's just going to buy this thing, put it away in their toy box with all the other cars that they're not going to ever drive. So what difference does it make if there's snow on the ground? What do you guys think out there? Let us know in the comments below.
And I do need you to jump in here real quick and again offer my driving of 911. I'm willing to do that. That is a service I offer. So if you buy this car and you need it driven in a rust-free environment, I'm your person.
Mental has a little cottage industry doing just that. So there it is. Call Mental. Switcher Gary will drive your 911 around. All right, what's the next car, Michael Deeb?
Mental's business car is going to say DOPE, D-O-P-P, driving other people's Porsches.
Oh, look at that. How many hours have you been trying to figure out that acronym?
I like it. It was good.
Yeah.
Just because you're being funny and he's not doesn't mean you don't deserve that.
You inspired it with the cottage industry comment. So, all right, JP, or Switcher Gary, will you please bring up the 2022 Acura NSX Type S that is on Bring a Trailer at the moment? Our car is in Mandeville, Louisiana, and is showing just 218 miles. The Type S was an upgrade package that Acura made to help sell these cars in the final year of production. This car is number 104 out of 350 made for the world with just 218 miles. Mental, I don't think they've even filled the gas tank back up. Like they haven't even put gas in this car yet since they took it home. It is still essentially brand new. Showing in very attractive white with the red leather seats. If I was ordering one, and I'm sure I went on the configurator a couple times and built exactly this car, this is exactly how I would build it. White with the red interior. If you're a fanboy of Japanese cars, of Honda cars like I am, white with a black interior and red seats is, for some strange reason, the look. And the guy who built this one for himself did just that. With an MSRP of $186,995, this guy took delivery of a really special car. Let me read you a little bit of the specs. It is a twin-turbo 3.5-liter V6 with 3 electric motors and a 9-speed dual-clutch transmission sent through an all-wheel drive system. And this car is upgraded to make 600 horsepower and 492 pound-foot of torque. This car can get out of its own way. It's interesting that Acura or Honda went so high-tech with this car that I really do think they turned off a few of the enthusiasts. Instead of making a driver's car, I feel like they made a technical tour de force. And that, to me, isn't in the spirit of what the original NSX was. The original NSX employed exotic materials to create a lightweight, outstanding driving experience that was both reliable and mundane when you weren't revving the snot out of that VTEC motor. This car is using electric motors and all-wheel drive. It's heavy. It doesn't mean it's not a great car, but I think it, having never driven one, everything I've ever read is it's an unbelievable machine, but it's a lot like driving a video game. And so this car just was not really a commercial success. And so I think, Acura had to bring out the Type S to the United States to help get those last few cars through the dealers and out into the world, and then they stopped making them, which is a bummer because it really was an outstanding car. It would have been cool if they sold enough of them to eventually make a Type R and maybe make it rear-wheel drive only. That would have been amazing. But that never happened, at least not on our shores. So this is the best of a car that didn't sell well, and it's in collector condition, and I think it has the right colorway and has an outstanding MSRP at almost $90,000. JP, I send it back to you. When you look at a car like this, do you just go, meh? Or do you look at it and go, yeah, I would never buy one, but man, it would be fun to drive because it looks like it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I would walk right by it in the parking lot and not even notice. It is, I'm sure, all of those amazing things. But, when you build an iconic car, one of the greatest cars of all time, the first NSX, and then you stop making it for a long period of time, and then you bring it back, there's a lot of anticipation, and it just feels like there is no homage whatsoever to the original car in this car. You look at a 911, a current 911, an old 911, you can see a design language of some sort, continuing on. This just kind of reminds me of the new Corvette. It's like it doesn't look anything like the old Corvette. It doesn't have any. I mean, actually, the Corvette pays more homage to the old design language, at least with some of the the way the lights look on the back and stuff like that. And I hate the way the Corvette looks, but this doesn't. It's just I would, if I were looking at a parking lot really quickly, I would just probably think that this is another Corvette, and just. There's nothing here except excellence and perfectness, which should make you lust after this car, but it just does the exact opposite. It's almost like the Nissan, the GTR or whatever, that has no lineage to anything in its past. I like the new Nissan 400Z or whatever more than this car. At least the 400Z kind of says, hey, we know where this car started and where this came from. This is a lot like the new Supra. The Supra was the greatest car, one of the greatest cars of all time, and then they bring us a Z4. I mean, it doesn't look like anything the older one. It doesn't have pay any homage. It just has there's no connective tissue here other than just general excellence. And honestly, for a supercar, that's just not enough. What do you think, Mental?
It is interesting. So not only is everything you're saying, you're 100% right. The nerd herd is in total agreement with you. I did not the S, but I drove these cars as an instructor with an exotic car theme, and everyone would say those same words. Wow, this thing is a technological marvel. Meh. If they'd have named it anything other than the NSX, they probably couldn't have kept them on there. But towards the end of this, the non-S versions of these were being so heavily discounted at Acura dealers, they were actually cheaper than the new Civic Type R. that they were into, because they were putting the premium prices on those. You could find non-S NSXs for $70,000 on dealers' lots at the end of this, and that's a shame. And this car will always be cursed with having absolutely no emotional response. No one gets excited about this generation. They're wonderful to drive. They're incredible. You could live with this every day. You could park in a parking lot. No one's going to bother you. No one's going to scratch it. You could crush everything that would come up next to you at a stoplight. And you also simply would not care. Half the time you'd end up leaving it outside because it's just an Acura.
Yeah, I mean, it's oh boy, what do we think it's going to bring?
That being said, this car is still going to go for outstanding money, in my opinion. Our car, when I typed it up, when I first looked at it, it was like 190,000 on 12 bids. It's up to like $205,000 now, and it sells in a couple of days on 15 bids. So it's still doing well. And believe it or not, JP, I think this car is going to break the bank. I think this car is going to bring $235,000, which is 50 grand over sticker with 200 miles on it. Where are you at, John?
What was your number?
235,000 where it will sell.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good number. Look, as boring as the cars are, this one is super low miles, and people will be collecting these cars. It is numbered. This car is still an Acura NSX, and it is regarded as one of the greatest, vehicle machines ever built. Does it stir any emotion? Not really, but this is the kind of car that will stir a bank account because they dump, if you had one with miles, I think you're in trouble. You're never going to see the money out of it. But something like this is going to bring money. Where's it at right now? It's at
205.
205 for 2 more days. And you said 230, what?
235.
Ah, geez, I'm going to have to go $5,000 over and just go 240, park it right above. What do you think, Mental?
I'm going to go back. I'm going to say it's going to go for 228,993 and fail to sell.
Fail to sell. That's interesting. You think?
Well,
where do you think their reserve is sitting on this car?
I don't know, but he obviously knows that he bought something special. He knows that it's a limited production car. He's got all the paperwork. He saved everything on there. So this is, while it was optioned out well, this is not enthusiast bought. This is investor bought. And investor who has got, such low mileage on this, he will put it right back in that warehouse until the market comes to him.
So, all right. I mean, I guess that makes sense. I certainly agree with you on the fact that this is an investor owner because, they didn't drive it. And they saved everything. It's got every bit of paperwork. Well, no, we're in total agreement there, 100%. The question is why they're selling it. If they're an investor and they're trying to sell it now, if they know anything about cars and the car market, they know that this is, probably not the greatest time to unload something like this. There is going to be, if you don't need to sell this thing, now is probably not the best time. If you can afford it, wait till spring or a couple of years. So I don't know. I agree with you that it's an investor, but the fact that they're putting it out to market means they want to sell it. Maybe they're trying to get ahead of maybe what they perceive as a bigger crash or a bigger softening in the market. So maybe they want to cash out while they still can. What do you guys think out there in the nerd herd? Let us know in the comments below, and let's get to the very last car of the day.
I have to be, because the show is called Bid Nerds.
Okay.
I have to correct Ross here. Now, Ross put in that Tony Stark had a convertible one. No, he didn't. Tony Stark exclusively in every Iron Man movie drove an Audi. They had a contract. In one of the Avengers movies where they
Take
had the
it
contract,
easy, Mental. You don't have to hit You're
When
right,
they-
but you
when
don't got
they-
to beat the guy up. He drove an Audi. What the F is wrong with you? Jesus Christ.
I would have actually been done by now.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies,
I would have been done with my last sentence.
Ladies and
I couldn't
gentlemen.
even keep the cameras on him while he was stomping around doing that over there. So what Tony Stark had, Ross, what Tony Stark had was actually a Acura prototype that needed to look like an Audi in order to keep that contract in there. And it was only at the end of the Avengers when they give Loki back to him.
Bid dorks. Okay, on another episode. Marvel sucks.
Ladies and gentlemen, JP just gave Switcher Jesus the P-Car market treatment.
Ross is nerd royalty. He is early adopter. If it weren't for guys like Ross,
So really,
we
you're not
wouldn't have
mad at
an
me.
episode.
You're just defending Ross. That makes sense.
I'm pissed that you're
down.
offending
I'm
Ross.
down. All right. No.
All right.
Gotta take
All right.
it easy, man.
All right. So Ross is in at 232. Lucas is in at 235. Anthony refuses to bid. Sahan is at 241. And as Anthony also said, we are officially off the rails.
Last car, what do we got?
Yeah. All right. My favorite car, JP, on Bring a Trailer is this Porsche. This 1994 Porsche 911 C4 wide body. In 1993 in Europe, Porsche made this all-wheel drive wide body platform as the 30-year Jubilee car. And then in 1995, Porsche dropped the 993, the next generation car. But that car wasn't ready. Porsche couldn't build enough of those cars to launch it in the United States at that time. The 964 had to carry over for one more year. So in 1994, Porsche made several different cool versions of the 964. And one of my all-time favorite air-cooled Porsches is this C4 wide body, which was essentially the Jubilee car carried over without the special Jubilee paint job in that viola metallic. Porsche brought over 267 964 C4 wide bodies to the North American market. And I'm going to go full nerd on you, Mental. Did you know that our car out of Glen Cove, New York, is one of just 29 that were made in white? Because the guys at Ryan Friedman, our beloved consigners, did not list that. That is a big nerd fact. Because we had one at Godden. I know that for a fact. They made 29 white ones. This is one of those white ones. This is a really cool car. Super rare by the numbers. Showing just 43,000 miles. It has a cashmere interior. I'm surprised that Ryan Friedman, as the consigning dealer, doesn't get that lower chin spoiler fixed. They're really easy to bend on like parking curbs or bounding into your driveway too fast. And they bend. The horizontal slots, if they're bent just a little bit, it's a real easy giveaway. Yet it's really easy with a hairdryer to heat those things up and bend them back into place. I'm surprised they don't do that on what is arguably a $250,000 car that they're bringing to market on a really big, look at that. I just think that's bad. Like, you could fix that real easy. Mental, you and I could do that with a hairdryer in enough time. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, that's the only bone I have to pick with this car. I love this car. Despite being all-wheel drive, they drive great. They look fantastic with the spoiler down. The wide body look and no wing is super hot. Great car. I'm not even offended by the cashmere interior because they got black tops of the doors and a black dash, black steering wheel. Really nice car, really nice condition, really rare by the numbers, and really out of my budget. So I missed my chance to jump on one. I shoulda, woulda, coulda. But here we go, JP. I think this is a really good consignor. They sell a lot of amazing cars there at Ryan Friedman. If I wasn't working for Haggerty, I would love to be a salesperson at Ryan Friedman, or even just a lot boy and park all the cool Porsches that they get. JP, this one I think is sure to break the bank. Despite the market being soft and it sort of being off season, I think this car is too rare and too hot a collector that I still think it'll do well. Like, in other words, it's soft market proof. I think this is one of those cars that it doesn't matter what the market's doing. I think they're going to be fighting over it. I send it to you, JP. What's to like, and is there anything about this particular car you don't like?
I mean, it's a wide body 964. It's one of the most beautiful cars of all time. The color doesn't do anything. I mean, yeah, I'm with you on the white thing. The whole smiley thing, that whole the air vents in the front that you were talking about. It's like what were those the Chevron commercials where they had the animated cars,
Yes.
and they always had like the overbite with the grill and everything like that. That's what it kind of looks like on the front of this car. Definitely does not come across very tough looking in this colorway. When you have the bad boy version of it in black, looks so menacing. This does look a little soft. You kind of got to do something with that nose.
You got to lower the car. If you put it on coilovers and lower it, suddenly it would look sinister. And maybe wheel spacers in the front, like 4 mil or something, 3 mil would just bring it out a little bit. Yeah. But I would do that and lower it. JP, that would give it the Polnik treatment, and this car would go right back to looking badass.
Yeah, I'm with you. Love it. What do you think, Mental?
Oh yeah, I'm right there with Anthony. This is the absolute. This thing is just sexy. Wow. Yeah. I would like hide pictures of this if my wife suddenly walked in the room.
I mean, Deeb, so is this car going to succumb to a softening of the market, or is this one going to see some big money?
No, I think it's going to see some big money. JPR car closes in 2 days. It's got just 43,000 miles on it. Looks to be in really nice condition, and it's already up to $140,000. I think this car is going to sell for $218,000.
I don't think it's going to break 200. I think yeah, I mean, it's really nice. It has all the things, but I do think there's a softening. Again, I think it's just the time of year. Like we said about the previous cars, it's not low enough miles to be a super collector car. This is definitely a car that it's got low enough miles that if you buy this thing and you get it for a decent number, you may be able to see some appreciation down the road. But I just don't, if you drive it at all, it's going to be in, normal driver miles, and it won't bring that big collector money. So I think it's, that 40 something thousand miles is kind of the bubble. So yeah, I don't think it's going to break 200,000. I think it's going to get very, very close. So I'll kiss 200's ass and go 199,964 and send it over to Mental. Don't piss me off, Mental.
Apparently, we don't even know what that does anymore. Oh man, yeah. This I'm gonna go with Deeb. I feel like this one is soft market resistant, so I'm gonna say 202,964.
Okay, so you think it does break the 200, but not go up quite that much. All right, well, what do you guys think? Do we got any bids out there from the nerd herd on this car?
They are.
People are coming in.
The nerds are on this.
All right.
So,
yeah, it looks like Randy's saying 194,964. He's with me. Anthony's right there, 195,964, 196,400. So it looks like the herd is with me on the sub 200 tip, and with the exception of Lucas is coming in at 203,267. What's the 267 about, Lucas? Am I missing something? Anybody know what the 267 is?
Yeah, well, you got to give a 45-second delay.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a delay there.
Yeah.
Sahan thinks $190,964. Sahan's soft on this thing. He doesn't think it's going to break. He not only does he not think it's going to break 200, but he's like well under it.
And honestly, I wonder if Sahan's feeling okay, because he also hasn't reminded us that this car is slow.
He was saying that something else was slow earlier. That's kind of his.
He says everything is slow.
Yeah,
the Mondial, I'm sure.
Yes. So there you have it. All right.
All right. Well, that is all of the cars today on Bid Nerds. We appreciate you guys hanging out. And wait, what's going on here? I got to update the camera?
You do got to update the camera. So Deeb's going to tell everybody how much he appreciates everybody hanging out.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us for another episode of Bid Nerds. Please join us on Wednesday night. We will come at you live at 7:30 in the Pacific Standard Time. And I think we're going to have a guest. At least we're trying to tee up a guest from the creator or the founder, or at least the general manager of MB Market, Mercedes-Benz Marketplace. His name is Blake. I don't have his last name yet. Forgive me, Blake, if you're watching. Chris Carbine has made friends with him. Chris Carbine.
Okay, whoa. Okay, because I know you guys are, do the Porsche stuff, but I'm the Mercedes geek. I'm very excited. This is going to be awesome.
It's going to be very awesome. So Chris Carbine of Carbine Motor Cars in New Orleans, Louisiana, one of the true nerd herds, has an S55 that is on MB Market. So we're going to cover that car and hopefully have Blake here to defend his platform, because JP is sure to ish all over it. And so we will have Blake as our third nerd on Wednesday night, I hope. And then Carbine's car is meant to close the following day. It is a S55 AMG. I think Mental's probably going to wind up buying that car.
He was going to give that to me, but I lost the key to it. So now I'm still on his list for losing keys.
Yeah, that no surprise there. But anyway, that's what we've got coming up for you this week. And then on Sunday night, we're going to cover a car that I've got on Haggerty Marketplace that closes the following week, next week in November. So be sure to watch us on Sunday night. It is an AMG car, and it'll be really fun to do. It's a really bodacious car, a 6-figure AMG. in bright yellow.
I got a question for you guys here. This is off subject here. A lot of you guys know that I had a TV show on Pluto, Porsche Road Trip, with yours truly. I am releasing bits and pieces of that show on the YouTube machine. There are currently some of our road trip ramblings. We're having kind of fun with that. I've put out a bunch of our friend, the professor approved little teaching moments. So check those out on Durfascination. I'm putting those up right now. I'm thinking about putting the season up on a paywall somewhere. Where you can buy the whole season for like $5. And maybe I'll put all the money to charity or something. What do you guys think of that? Let me know, maybe in the comments or somebody do in the chat here. I want to put out the whole season and make it available to everybody, because right now you can't see it. Everyone's asking me, how can I see the show? How can I see the show? Because it's not on Pluto anymore, and I haven't just dumped it on YouTube yet. So we were thinking about maybe going on Mav TV. That doesn't look like it's going to happen, or at least I'm not really pushing for it to happen. So yeah, definitely open to the nerd herd's opinion, and let us know how you guys can help me get the word out and maybe make a little money for charity.
What if you start a Bid Nerds or like a Durfascination Patreon, and if you join Patreon, you get an exclusive code to access all of the Dur stuff, including Road Trip.
That's a good idea. Maybe that's what we'll do. You'll get a Dur pass or something like that.
Yeah,
all
get them
behind the scenes Dur stuff.
A trucker hat and a Dur or Die beanie, and a Speedo, right? Like Steve Zissou, right? Am I doing this correctly?
Oh, yeah, Zissou, the guy.
Yeah. And then you get them whatever the code is, so they can access the whole shebang.
Love it.
Right, how do we see your podcast? I watched every episode of that when I was on Pluto because we had just met, and I would still pay $5. It's worth it. It's a great show.
Well, it would be really cool to be able to watch it without commercials, because Pluto had so many goddamn commercials.
And they were so horribly timed. It would be like in the middle of, you're a dog. Hey, have you heard about this new pill for your boners?
Dude, it was like, you make the show and you set it up for the commercial breaks, and how you're supposed to do it. And Pluto just threw all that ish out the window. They just said, nope, whatever. They just jammed commercials in whenever they felt like it. So a lot of work for nothing, right? Oh, yeah, Anthony wants that Durfascination Speedo. Coming your way, Anthony. Love it. Mental, how do we see your podcast?
Oh, thank you so much for asking. Sorry, I'm coming over there. You can find me, Everyone Racers, all of that, everyone.racers or at everyone racers. We just got back from a
New Hampshire.
Yes, we were having a great weekend right up into the last 2 hours, and literally both of our cars had rear hub problems. So we went from winning to putting it on the trailer. But it was a great time with good friends, and a bad weekend racing is always better than a good weekend working.
Yeah.
Good point. All right. Deeb, you're going to hop in there. I'm letting you hop in. Go ahead. Get after it, buddy. Do it.
And also, if you do charge the paywall, Sahan wants you to buy a Mondial with it.
That's it. All right. Paywall gets JP a Mondial, and then I'll have to do Mondial road trip. It'll be a short road trip.
I am working with Haggerty Marketplace. If you have a car that you would like to sell on auction, on our live auction at Haggerty Marketplace, or put it in one of the big live auctions like Amelia Island that's coming up in March in Jacksonville, Florida, please reach out to me somewhere. I don't know, anywhere. Just here through the show. Just find me, and I'll help you out.
You can always catch us on Instagram on the Bid Nerds Instagram page. Yeah, you guys should subscribe to that too. If you haven't, I know you guys have subscribed to this channel. You've probably hit the notification button and all that kind of fun stuff. If you haven't done that already, please do. Thanks for watching this far if you're still here. And why not?
We have our highest watch count right now. There's 13 people watching.
Oh my gosh.
Watching all night.
Wow. Monday Night Football must be over. Okay. We'll let you guys go. Thanks for hanging out, guys. See you on Wednesday night at 7:30-ish.
Get those nerds!